Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way after living more than 7 decades on this earth. When you get older, you start to see that the little choices you make each day carry a heavier weight than they used to. The aches and the fatigue that seemed to vanish overnight when you were young now linger for days. And what you put on your plate first thing in the morning can either lift you up for the rest of the day or drag you down before you even begin. I want to share something important with you today. 4 foods that older folks like us should never touch for breakfast if we want to stay healthy and keep our energy steady. I've been there. I've made these mistakes. And I hope by telling you, you won't have to learn the same lessons the hard way. You see, when I retired, I thought I had more freedom. I could sleep in a little, eat what I wanted, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. I started each morning with the kind of breakfast I once dreamed of during my working years. Something quick, something sweet, something comforting. But not long after, I started feeling sluggish before lunchtime. My joints were stiffer, my mind was foggier. I would sit in my chair by mid-morning, wondering why I had no motivation. That's when I started paying closer attention. I realized it wasn't just old age. It was what I was feeding myself each morning. The first mistake I made was trusting boxed cereals. Oh, they lure you in with bright colors and promises of vitamins. But I tell you from the bottom of my heart, most of those cereals are nothing but sugar bombs. I used to think pouring myself a bowl of cereal and topping it with some milk was a quick and harmless breakfast. It felt easy, but I didn't know that many of these cereals, even the ones claiming to be healthy or whole grain, are loaded with hidden sugars. They spike your blood sugar like a roller coaster. And after that quick burst of energy, you crash. Your body starts to crave more sugar, and that cycle wears down your heart, your pancreas, and your brain. One morning, I checked the label of my so-called healthy cereal. I couldn't believe it had more sugar than a donut. My doctor once told me that if it crunches and comes in a colorful box, it's probably not doing your body any favors. I didn't listen at first. I thought he was exaggerating. But after weeks of exhaustion and brain fog, I stopped eating it. And you know what? The change I felt in just a few days was incredible. Now let me talk to you about the second breakfast trap, flavored yogurts, especially the ones that say low fat or fruit at the bottom. I used to love them. I'd open one up, stir it with a spoon, and feel like I was doing something good for my body. But what I didn't see was the truth hidden under that creamy surface. Most of those yogurts are packed with artificial sweeteners or added sugars. It's like eating dessert for breakfast and pretending it's healthy. You think because it's yogurt, it must be good for your digestion, right? But the sugar feeds the bad bacteria in your gut more than it helps the good. And don't get me started on the ones with artificial flavors and colors. Those things don't belong in a senior's diet. I remember one week I had flavored yogurt every single morning. By Friday, I felt bloated. My stomach was off. My energy was all over the place. Then I started making my own plain yogurt with some real fruit and nuts. It wasn't as sweet, but it was real, and my body thanked me for it. The third food you've got to watch out for is processed breakfast meats, bacon, sausage, even those so-called lean turkey patties. Listen, I'm not saying meat is bad, but the kind that comes wrapped in plastic, full of preservatives and sodium, can do real harm to a senior's heart and blood pressure. I know it tastes good. Believe me, I used to look forward to the smell of sizzling bacon every Sunday morning. It brought back memories of family breakfasts and comfort. But I also remember the tightness in my chest one afternoon after eating a greasy breakfast. That scare made me dig deeper. I learned that processed meats are filled with nitrates that can damage blood vessels and increase your risk of heart disease. It was hard to let go of that tradition, but I found that switching to a piece of grilled chicken or even some beans with herbs in the morning gave me more strength and less guilt. I still miss the taste sometimes, but I don't miss the way my body used to feel afterward. Now this fourth one, it might surprise you, but please hear me out. Store-bought pastries, muffins, danishes, donuts, even that innocent slice of banana bread. I know they seem harmless. I used to grab a muffin with my coffee and think it was a nice way to treat myself. But those pastries are like traps wrapped in soft, sweet bread. They're usually made with refined flour, which turns into sugar in your body almost instantly. On top of that, They're often made with cheap oils that inflame your joints and slow down your metabolism. One time I had a pastry every morning for a whole week while my grandkids were visiting. I wanted to enjoy with them, not fuss over what I was eating. But by the weekend, I felt heavier, more tired, and strangely sad. That's what all that sugar and refined carbs can do. It messes not only with your body, but with your mood. I started replacing pastries with something as simple as whole grain toast and peanut butter, or even a boiled egg and a piece of fruit. And the difference was like night and day. Now I know what you might be thinking. What's the harm in a little indulgence? We've lived long enough to enjoy life. And I agree. Life's too short not to find joy in food. But joy should come from feeling good after you eat, not just while you're chewing. I'm not telling you to follow a strict diet. I'm just telling you that some choices lead to strength and clarity, and others pull you slowly toward weakness and confusion. And breakfast is where it all begins. When you wake up, your body has been fasting all night. That first meal sets the tone for your blood sugar, your mood, your energy, and even your memory. If you fill yourself with sugary cereals, processed meats, fake yogurts, or sweet pastries, you're sending your body into a battle it doesn't need. You're asking your heart to work harder, your brain to fight fog, and your gut to struggle with inflammation. And as we get older, our bodies don't bounce back as easily. Every bite counts more than ever. But the good news is that it doesn't take fancy food or expensive products to turn things around. A bowl of warm oatmeal with nuts, a couple of boiled eggs, a banana with a spoonful of almond butter. These simple, real foods can give you lasting energy and keep your mind sharp. You won't get that crash an hour later. You won't feel like taking a nap before noon. You'll walk with more ease, think more clearly, and maybe even smile a little more. I didn't figure all this out overnight. I had to stumble through years of fatigue and fog before I got it. But now when I sit down to breakfast, I feel like I'm giving my body what it deserves: respect, nourishment, and a fighting chance to enjoy the day ahead. I'm sharing this with you not to preach, but because I care. I know what it's like to wake up and not feel like yourself, to wonder if the energy will ever come back, but it can, and it starts with knowing what not to eat. Sometimes the things we leave off our plate are more powerful than what we put on it. So please think twice about those cereals, those flavored yogurts, the processed meats, and those tempting pastries. They might seem small, but they can steal your energy, your clarity, and your joy one bite at a time. And at our age, we've earned the right to feel good, to wake up strong, to walk into the day with a full tank, not an empty one. I hope you'll remember my words the next time you reach for breakfast. I say them with love and the wisdom of years that taught me the hard way. Because you deserve better. You deserve mornings that lift you up. And it all starts with what you choose to eat. Now let's clear some common questions. What real food alternatives can older adults turn to for a satisfying, nourishing breakfast that still brings comfort and joy? Let me sit with you a moment and tell you something that took me a good many years to understand. You see, there was a time in my life when breakfast was just about filling the belly. Whatever was quick, whatever was tasty, whatever reminded me of comfort. But as the years went by and my joints got stiffer and my mind a little foggier, I started to realize that what I put into my body each morning was either adding to my strength or quietly stealing it. And I'll tell you this with all my heart. You don't have to give up joy to eat well. You don't have to say goodbye to comfort to nourish your body. You just need to shift a little change here and a little change there. The right foods can still bring you the warmth of morning tradition while helping you stay strong and energized for the day ahead. Now I've had my fair share of sugary cereals, greasy sausages, and sweet pastries. Those things used to feel like treats, like a reward for making it through life's long road. But what I learned is that real comfort doesn't come from a sugar high or a salty bite. Real comfort is waking up and not feeling sluggish by mid-morning. It's walking outside without your knees aching too much. It's remembering your grandchild's name without hesitation. And believe it or not, breakfast plays a bigger part in that than most folks realize. So what can we eat instead? What can give us both nourishment and joy? Let me tell you what's worked for me. First off, a warm bowl of oatmeal is one of the best gifts you can give your body. I'm not talking about the instant kind that comes in a packet with fake flavors and too much sugar. I mean real rolled oats, cooked slow with a little love. I like to add a handful of chopped walnuts, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and a few slices of banana or berries if I've got them on hand. It's not fancy, but it sticks to your ribs in the right way. Keeps your blood sugar steady, keeps your mind clear, and there's something about holding that warm bowl in your hands that just feels good. Another favorite of mine is eggs. Now, eggs have gotten a bad rap over the years, but in moderation, they're just about perfect for us older folks. They're full of protein, easy to digest, and keep you full for hours. I like mine boiled or scrambled with a little olive oil. Sometimes I'll throw in some chopped spinach or mushrooms, and if I'm feeling a little fancy, I'll slice up half an avocado on the side. That creamy texture with the eggs is pure comfort, and you feel like you're treating yourself without doing your body any harm. Some mornings I go for something even simpler, a slice of whole grain toast with natural peanut butter or almond butter. The kind without all the added sugar, that gives you good fats and a bit of protein. Top it with a few slices of apple or a drizzle of honey, and you've got a breakfast that feels indulgent, but keeps your body happy. I've also found that a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt, the real kind without sugar, can be a good base. I'll stir in a spoonful of ground flaxseed and top it with a handful of blueberries or chopped pears. It's creamy, it's satisfying, and it helps keep things moving, if you know what I mean. Now, for those days when you miss the old Sunday breakfast, when the smell of bacon filled the house and everyone gathered around the table, I understand. That memory is powerful, but you can recreate some of that feeling in a healthier way. I sometimes make a homemade hash with sweet potatoes, black beans, onions, and a few herbs. Sauté it all in a bit of olive oil and crack an egg on top. It's hearty, it's warm, and it fills the house with a smell that takes me back without weighing me down like those greasy breakfasts used to. One thing I've come to appreciate in my older years is soup for breakfast. It might sound odd, but in many parts of the world, a warm, breathy soup with vegetables and maybe a bit of chicken or tofu is how people start their day. It's easy on the stomach, it hydrates the body, and it makes you feel nourished in a deep, old-fashioned way. I started making a batch of vegetable soup once a week. Then I just warm up a bowl in the morning when I need something soothing. It's become one of my quiet joys. You see, breakfast doesn't have to be loud or sugary or stuffed in a box. It can be gentle, it can be simple, and it can still bring you comfort. I found that the more I leaned into foods that came from the earth, rather than a factory, the better I felt. Real fruits, whole grains, nuts, seeds, eggs, vegetables. These things don't just feed your hunger, they feed your cells. They wake you up without that crash later on. And when your body starts to feel better, your spirit follows. You start the day feeling like you're walking beside yourself, not dragging behind. I also learned that joy at breakfast doesn't come from the food alone. It comes from how you eat it. Sitting down, taking a breath, looking out the window, listening to the birds or maybe an old song you love, using the good mug for your tea, lighting a candle if the morning's still dark. These little rituals turn a simple meal into a sacred moment. And at our age, those moments mean more than ever. So if you're looking for real food alternatives that still bring you joy, don't worry about being fancy. Don't worry about following the latest trend. Just think back to what your grandparents might have eaten. Think about how food makes you feel, not just while you're eating it, but 2 hours later. Choose what gives you strength, what helps you move through your day with grace and peace. And above all, choose with love. Love for your body, love for your years, and love for the morning itself, a gift that keeps on giving if you greet it right. That's what I've learned, and it's what I hope you'll carry with you. Breakfast is not just the first meal, it's the foundation for how you show up in the world. Choose it with care, and let it carry you forward with joy. What emotional or nostalgic connections might seniors have with these comfort foods, and how can we respectfully transition to healthier choices? Let me tell you something most folks don't talk about when they start preaching about healthy eating. It's not just about swapping out ingredients or reading labels. For people like us, folks who have lived through decades of change and carried stories in our hearts, food means more than fuel. Food is memory. Food is home. When you tell a senior to stop eating the breakfast they've loved for 50 years, you're not just asking them to change their diet. You're asking them to let go of a piece of their past. And that's no small thing. I know because I've lived it. I've held on to certain foods not just because they tasted good, but because they reminded me of who I used to be and the people I used to sit with at the table. I remember being a little boy, sitting at my grandmother's table in the early morning light. The kitchen smelled like bacon grease and fresh biscuits. She'd be humming while frying eggs in the cast iron pan. That breakfast wasn't just a meal, it was love. It was safety. It was the sound of her slippers on the tile floor and the warm hug she gave me before I went off to school. So years later, when I found myself living alone after my wife passed, guess what I made myself in the morning? Those same eggs, those same biscuits. Because for a moment, I wasn't just an old man sitting by himself. I was a child again, wrapped in warmth, remembering the hands that fed me when life was still simple. Comfort foods hold that kind of power. For many of us, it's not about the sugar or the salt. It's about Sunday mornings when the house smelled like pancakes and syrup. It's about holidays when mom made her famous muffins or dad fried potatoes in the skillet. It's about the people who are gone and the moments that only live in our taste buds now. So when someone tells you to toss those foods aside in favor of kale and chia seeds, it can feel like they're asking you to forget the people you love. That's why it's so hard. And that's why the transition to healthier eating has to come from a place of respect and tenderness, not rules and restrictions. I had to learn this lesson slowly. My doctor gave me a long list of things I should cut out of my breakfast. Sausage, white bread, store-bought pastries. I nodded politely, but inside I felt a quiet kind of grief. Because I wasn't just giving up food, I was giving up rituals, memories, traditions, and I didn't want to lose them. What helped me begin to change was realizing I didn't have to erase those feelings. I just had to honor them differently. Instead of holding on to the exact food, I started holding on to the feeling it gave me, that sense of warmth, that feeling of being taken care of. That's what I started chasing. And believe it or not, there are other ways to get there. I started experimenting, not with anything too fancy, just little changes. I took my grandmother's biscuit recipe and tried making it with whole grain flour. Still warm, still made the house smell good, and it still reminded me of her. Only now it didn't leave me feeling bloated or tired by mid-morning. I swapped out greasy bacon for turkey bacon on some days, and on other days I made a little veggie hash that filled the kitchen with the same kind of comfort. I realized the ritual was what mattered most, sitting down, taking time, eating slowly. That was the part that made it feel special, not just the food itself. Sometimes I'll make oatmeal on a cold morning and stir in a little maple syrup and cinnamon. And when I do, I think of the mornings my wife and I used to share in our little cabin up north. She loved cinnamon. She used to hum when she cooked. And somehow, that bowl of oatmeal brings her close again. It may not be the same as the sugary cinnamon rolls we used to eat, but the memory is still there, and my body feels better for it. That's the key, you see. You don't strip away the memory. You find a new way to hold it. You take the emotion and the nostalgia, and you wrap it in something that still honors the past while caring for your present self. It's a bit like tending an old garden. You may need to pull some weeds, but you don't tear out the roots. You water it differently, you give it new soil, but you still let it bloom. And if you're someone helping a senior make these changes, whether you're a caregiver or a loved one, remember this. Don't just tell them what not to eat. Sit with them. Ask them what their favorite breakfast was as a child. Ask them what their mom used to make. Listen to the story, because the story is where the heart is. Then work with them to find a new version of that meal, a version that still feels like home, but treats their body with kindness. That's how you earn trust. That's how you create change that lasts. Even now at my age, I get tempted. Some days I miss those golden waffles and sausage links, but I remind myself that real comfort is waking up without pain. It's walking to the mailbox without losing my breath. It's sitting with my grandchildren and having the energy to listen to their stories. And every time I choose something better for my body, I'm not letting go of the past. I'm honoring it. I'm saying thank you to the people who fed me and loved me, and I'm choosing to carry their care forward in a new way. So to anyone facing that quiet tug of war between memory and health, I say this: be gentle with yourself. You're not weak for missing the old foods. You're human. You're full of stories. Let those stories guide you to something better. Not something cold or clinical, but something warm, something real, something that reminds you who you are and who you want to be for the rest of your days. And never forget, the table is still a sacred place. Fill it with food that loves you back. How can caregivers and family members support seniors in changing their breakfast habits without making them feel judged or restricted? Let me tell you something I've learned over a long life, and I hope you take it to heart. When it comes to helping someone change, especially someone older and set in their ways, you've got to lead with love, not instruction. You can have all the knowledge in the world about what foods are good or bad. You can rattle off facts about blood sugar and cholesterol and the dangers of processed meat. But if the person you're talking to feels judged or pushed, they'll shut down like an old wooden door in winter. I've been on both sides of that conversation. I've been the stubborn one clutching his plate like it held his past. And I've been the son and brother trying to help someone I love eat better. Neither side is easy, but there's a way through it, and it begins with compassion and a little patience. See, breakfast isn't just breakfast when you're old. It's a ritual, it's familiarity. It's often one of the few things in the day that feels steady. If someone's lost a spouse or their mobility or even their memory, that morning meal can become a lifeline. So when you come in and suggest changing it, no matter how gentle your words, it can feel like an attack on their comfort. That's why the first step in helping is to understand that this is emotional, not just nutritional. The person you love might not say it out loud, but they're holding on to more than a habit. They're holding on to what makes them feel safe, remembered, maybe even loved. The trick is to start with listening. Sit with them at breakfast, not with a plan or a lecture, but with curiosity. Ask them what they used to eat when they were kids. What foods remind them of home? Let them tell stories, and listen like it matters, because it does. That conversation alone can open doors. It shows them you're not just trying to change them, you want to understand them. And once they feel seen, once they feel heard, they'll be more open to suggestions. You'd be surprised how powerful a little story can be in softening resistance. When it comes time to offer ideas, don't make it sound like a replacement. Make it sound like an addition. Instead of saying, "You shouldn't eat that sausage anymore," try saying, "I made this new breakfast hash with sweet potatoes and herbs. Want to try a little on the side?" Let them taste it without pressure. Let the food speak for itself. And if they like it, celebrate it quietly. If they don't, try something else. This isn't a test, it's a journey, and every little step counts. What really helped me make some changes years ago was when my daughter started making breakfast with me. She didn't march into my kitchen and throw out the cereal box. She came over on Saturdays and said, "Let's make something together." At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I realized she was showing me new ways to eat without ever making me feel like I'd been doing it wrong. She'd bring over fresh fruit or whole grain bread from the bakery. Sometimes she'd bake muffins using almond flour and applesauce. The kitchen started to feel like it did when my wife was alive. It wasn't just about food, it was about connection. And before I knew it, those new habits didn't feel like a loss. They felt like love. If you're a caregiver or a family member, don't underestimate the power of presence. Just being there can change everything. Sometimes older folks don't change because they're afraid, not just of the food, but of change itself. They've already lost so much. They don't want to lose what little they can still control. But if they feel like they're not alone, if they feel like someone is walking beside them instead of pulling them forward, they'll take that first step and the next one, slowly, gently, but surely. Another thing that helps is focusing on what they can have instead of what they can't. No one wants to be told no all the time. It wears a person down. So instead of pointing out the donuts they shouldn't eat, bring over a basket of ripe peaches. Instead of telling them to ditch the white toast, introduce them to sprouted grain bread with a little almond butter. Talk about the benefits in ways that connect to their lives. Say things like, "This might help you feel more awake through the morning." Or, "I've noticed your hands don't ache as much when you eat more whole foods." Make it personal. Make it hopeful, not clinical. And let me say something that matters more than you think. Don't forget dignity. We older folks have lived a long time. We fought wars, raised families, buried people we loved. We're not children, so treat us like we still have wisdom, even if our bodies are slowing down. Ask for our input, let us have a say. Instead of serving us a healthy meal and watching to see if we eat it, ask if we'd like to help prepare it, even if it's just stirring a pot or slicing a banana. That kind of involvement restores a sense of purpose. It makes us feel needed. And when we feel useful, we're far more likely to accept change. You might be surprised how far a little grace goes. You don't have to get it perfect, neither do we. There will be days when we still reach for the old foods, and that's okay. You don't have to scold or sigh. Just keep showing up. Keep cooking. Keep inviting us in. Because this is about more than health. It's about trust. And trust is built over time, one small act of kindness at a time. So if you want to help us eat better, don't start with rules. Start with love. Start with memory. Start with the kind of breakfast that feeds the heart just as much as the body. Sit down with us. Share a cup of tea. Ask a question. Let the food come second to the relationship. That's how change happens. Slowly, gently, together. And when it does, it sticks. Not because we were told what to do, but because we felt cared for. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want. To feel like someone still cares enough to walk with us, even through breakfast, even through change. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.